Okay, I'll be very brief because the true authors of this, the true authors of this work are my students and some of international students also. And I'm Olesya Koltsova, and my modest role here was to rewrite the paper draft which they produced. And so, unfortunately, I don't know all the details, and the presentation is made by Юрий Рыков. А где тут это самое, как тут нажимать, чтобы оно загоралось? Yeah, by Юрий Рыков, who is a very super popular speaker, and he is rushing here from a different conference at Sociological Department of St. Petersburg State University, and he hasn't made it, as we can see. So the idea of this project, the background and the rationale is that probably as there are so many geolocated visual data available online, there is an assumption that probably we can use it to make meaningful conclusions about social reality and in particular about some aspects of urban life and of urban social organization. So the idea was to test if this, at least to some extent so, and if we can rely on this data in describing some consumption of the urban space. Let's put it in a way. So there is a data set from Instagram, and as you know, Instagram is not available anymore, but this was collected prior to this. It was at first it was a full sample from the entire year of geotagged posts from St. Petersburg, and then there was a random sample made which comprises approximately 1/10 of this that was recognized through Google Vision API to recognize these pictures and to see and to attach tags to them. So here we have this area here. Here we lack data. So for some technical reason they were not downloaded, but this area is represented, is well represented. It's full. So we've got user-generated hashtags, but in this work, basically the hashtags that were ascribed by Google Vision were used. And then the questions. Can Instagram images be clustered into meaningful categories reflecting human urban experience? And can this experience be related to certain areas in a meaningful way? So the assumption is that people would post different pictures in different urban areas, and probably we can make some judgments about the nature of consumption of these areas from these pictures. So, well, to some extent it has worked. These Google tags were multiple for each picture. They were not unique, and so they intersected. Those hashtags that were the most frequent and that were shared by by a number of pictures were picked up from this sample, and there they built the network, which contains the largest giant component. So some parts of the networks have been cut off, and then the Louvain algorithm has been used to produce these clusters. At this level, they're actually very meaningful, and that's what you might expect from a city like St. Petersburg, sunrise and sea here, art also, facades and palaces. There are many palaces in St. Petersburg, so there is not surprising. and some casual thing that you can probably meet in every city, like dish, drink, and flowers, and clothing. And this is powerlifting, strength training. Okay, and animals also, pets. People make pictures of their pets. Okay, these are just the examples of some clusters. This illustrates how well this Google Vision works. So you can see that, yeah, sometimes it does well, sometimes it's not very good, but okay. Cars, virtually in every picture you can see some car. Okay, then let me skip this. These clusters were then plotted on the map of St. Petersburg, and then some of them demonstrate some differences in spatial distribution. So portrait, people make their portraits in this area, which is, everybody knows what it is. It's downtown. Yes, it's the most beautiful places. Animals is the most, you can't see it from the picture, but from the analysis it's known that it is the most evenly distributed cluster. So animals appear everywhere. They don't depend on the area. Dish is also, you can see downtown, but you can see also this string along Moskovsky Prospect, which leads to the airport. This is one of the most important avenues in St. Petersburg after Nevsky Prospect. Drink is the same. And sunrise and sea. It's not very well seen from this map, but if there were a possibility to zoom it in, you would naturally see that it goes along river banks, and also it has the largest share actually in the sea. So this is the sea here. This is the boundary of the sea, like this. So people probably rent boats and go into the sea to take these pictures of sunrise and sea. So you really can see some difference, although one of the limitations here is that it's only one city. This team has the data set which we are going to use further in our further work of 81 cities around the world, and you can make comparative analysis. So when you only have one case, it's not very meaningful, but when you can compare cities, it probably will produce much more sociologically rich data, rich conclusions. Also, what's been done is an attempt to measure the similarity between clusters, and they somehow correlated the heat maps of the clusters to find which of them are most similar in terms of their geospatial distribution, not in terms of words, not in terms of hashtags that belong to these clusters, but in terms how they spread over the city. And I will not, okay. And actually, there are some clusters that are very similar, but also you can see the similar facade and palace on the one hand, and clothing and fashion for some reason, with strength training, power training on the other hand. We still have this is the work in progress, and we still have to elaborate methods. How do we interpret it? We need to gain some more information about urban life to be able to say why it's going like this. Why those who do power training post pictures in very different places than those who are interested in facades and palaces. Is it some segregation? Probably power training clubs are distributed in so-called sleeping areas where the most people live, not in the city center, unlike facades and palaces. Okay, this is actually everything I have to say on this point. The work is going on, and probably we will next time present more cities and have more interpretable results. One of the hypotheses, one of the things we are going to go with is, does anybody who is not from St. Petersburg have any ideas why is it a blank space? Here we don't have data, but here we do. We have the full data here. Any urbanists here in this room?
Maybe it's, I don't know, some factory facilities or something?
Right. You are not from St. Petersburg, no? You are?
I'm not from.
Okay, great. That's a great guess. This is the abandoned, half-abandoned industrial territory. And so one of our ideas has been that probably with these methods we can, it's good if you know the city. If you live here, it's obvious for you that nobody goes just into these areas. But if you want to get a glimpse of a large number of cities fast and cheaply, you probably need an instrument that would do this for you. And probably we could further use this approach to study the abandoned and districts in the cities and how they evolve. Do they get more abandoned if you make a time series, or are they successfully being renovated and made into different and more habitable spaces? Yeah, and this could be a way one of the approaches to do this. So thank you for your attention. This data has been given to us by Lev Manovich from New York University and his team, and he's one of the co-authors, and well done by all these nice guys.
Thank you very much. Any questions?
You said that some of the clusters on the city map are actually placed in the sea. Is this like technicalities, or is something meaningful?
No, I don't think it's technicalities, because you can see that it's not in the middle of the sea, right?
Yeah.
It's close to the sea coast, and renting boats is a very widespread thing in St. Petersburg. Also, some clusters appear in the summer, which is sunrise and sea peaks in the summer. So they take boats and go there. Okay, thank you very much. Then.